If you're anything like me, jumping into motherhood can be one of the most challenging jobs you've ever had. And one of the things that really helped me as a mom was to begin viewing motherhood as what it is. It's a job. And not only is it a job, it's one of the most important jobs you will ever do. So what I started doing was approaching it more like a workplace and applying the management principles that I learned in school and in internships and in jobs and applying them to my home. And I wanted to share some of those with you today so that it could benefit you as well. One of the first tips that I recommend for viewing your home as a job is don't do things based on feelings. And some of you just heard deny all your feelings, don't care about your feelings. That is not what I said. I think it's fine to acknowledge how you feel about something, to pray and say, Lord, this is really challenging for me, to cry out to the Lord and ask Him for guidance. But the reality is, with any other job, whether that is in management, whether that is an office job, whether that is a construction job, you would not decide whether or not to go to work that day based on how you feel that day, right? There's so many days as adults where we don't want to go to work, and we still go to work because we know the stakes are high enough that if we don't show up, we may get fired, right? And also because before the Lord, we want to have integrity and do the right thing even if no one is watching. And I realized I was not applying that same approach to motherhood. There would be days where I didn't feel like doing the laundry. I didn't feel like getting out of bed. I didn't feel like doing the phonics lesson with my kid. I didn't feel like doing whatever discipline I had to do with a particular child. And I realized I would not do this with any other job. And so I don't want to do this with the most important job that I've ever had, right? Of shaping little human beings, hopefully to one day go and serve the Lord. And so this is actually a really helpful mindset shift to recognize I'm going to decide in advance what I want to do that day, what I feel like the Lord has called me to do, what habits He's calling me to do, whether that's reading the Bible to my kids at breakfast, whether that is doing school with my kids because of our family structure and knowing that we need to start early. Whatever it is, that has been super helpful for me to determine in advance what I need to do and do that prayerfully, but then to go ahead and do it even if I feel really crummy that day, even if I wake up with a cold or was up with a baby or was tired. And it has been a really freeing thing to do what is right, what I need to do, even though I don't feel like it. And I actually get out of those cycles faster if I choose to just keep doing the right habits and the right things, even when I feel down or I feel discouraged about this or that. It actually helps you snap out of those so much faster. So I'd highly recommend treating your role as a mom like a job in that way. The second thing that has really helped me, and this is a personal thing, this is not a thus says the Lord thing, is getting dressed for the day. And for some people, this does not make a difference at all. I have some friends that wear sweatpants every day and they feel just as fine, just as functional no matter what. But for me, when I wore sweatpants every single day, I would look in the mirror and I would feel frumpy. I would feel sorry for myself. I felt like when I walked on the sidewalk and took my kids on a walk, people would look at me and feel sorry for me. Just kind of this like pity party every time I looked in the mirror. And for me, one of the most helpful things to do has been to find comfortable clothes that I could wear every single day, that I feel good in, that are like super tight, like those, I hate tight jeans, but soft fabrics, things that I like, and things that I feel like I look more professional in. Because the reality is, in my mindset, you dress for the job, right? So if you go to an office, you would get dressed for the day, even if you didn't feel like it that day, because you know that's what's expected of you. And to me, it shows respect for the job by dressing for it in a way that shows I value it. For some people, that is not at all a requirement, not necessary at all, but it's something that can be helpful for people that are struggling mentally with valuing the job, with feeling put together. And for me, it would even impact whether or not I wanted to go out that day. So maybe a friend would have a play date scheduled and I'd say, oh, I don't want to go out because of how I'm dressed. Or I didn't have time to shower this morning or something like that. So that has been a huge help to me, is just getting ready for the day, exercising every morning, just some of those basics so I feel ready to face the day. The third thing that has helped me in my mindset as a mom that is similar to what you would do in a job is continuing education. And this could look a variety of different ways. It could be talking to an older mom about a parenting struggle that you've been having. It could be reading a book about parenting or marriage. It could be something totally specific to a skill you would like to learn that you think would improve your home. So one of the things I'm hoping to improve this year is cake decorating. And is that necessary to being a mom? No, but it's something that I think would enhance our home on birthdays in specific. And so that's something that I would like to do in the coming year, is to learn how to decorate cakes. It could be decorating your home. It could be learning a specific food item that your family really, really enjoys. But it's just trying to learn as a mom new skills. It could even be doing something just really artistic that would make a great gift for someone else, or something that brings you joy in some way. But sometimes that could be a really helpful mindset of, instead of I'm a bad mom, I'm stuck at level 1 forever, thinking, okay, there's all these ways I can grow as a mom, just like you would in a career, right? My husband has had to go through all kinds of continuing education in his job. And he never expected that his entry-level self would be the same level as his self in 30 years. And in the same way, for most of us, if you have more than one kid, this is an over 20-year commitment, right? So if you expect to grow and develop along the way, that could be a really encouraging mindset, make you excited about being a mom instead of discouraged if you haven't fully arrived at year 2 of your parenting journey. The fourth thing that has really helped me is to focus on family culture. And this can look a variety of different ways, but one of the ways this is similar to the workplace is that in a workplace, you would totally value the setting that you're working in, right? If someone told you, well, the job itself isn't bad, but it's a toxic work culture, most of us would say, well, that kind of dramatically affects the job, right? And one of the cool things about being a mom is you could set the culture in your home, just like you would in a workplace if you were a manager. One of the ways you could do this is just by having fun together. In different ways you could make, I've heard some moms, they make games out of cleaning up, right? Where instead of just like, clear up your toys, you have a race to see how fast you could do it. You could have fun activities that your family does together to build memories, like going on bike rides. That's something my husband does with our kids a lot. He takes them out oftentimes on their little balance bikes. They don't even ride regular bikes with pedals yet, but they'll go on trails together. We'll go on family walks. We'll make things together as a family. We have Saturday brunch or pizza Friday, just little things. And that builds culture because it's something specific to your family. And that is very similar to a workplace, because you would totally try to do stuff like that as a manager in a workplace. Many works even have retreats where they will go overnight somewhere, go ice skating, do fun activities, have a fancy dinner. And all of that is to try to develop culture and relationships, because that makes people want to be there more. And in the same way, in your home, you're seeking to develop those things. And I would recommend Sally Clarkson's books specifically on developing home culture, because she's really good at incorporating some of the beauty aspects into it that actually don't come very naturally to me at all. Next thing you could do is to use shared language. And as Christians, this is a really, really fun thing because you already have so much of this built in. So some of the phrases we use in our home, we talk about a lot about loving your neighbor as yourself. And so we'll talk all the time about who's your closest neighbor. It's Jack. He gets to sleep right next to you in your room. Would you shout at our neighbors across the street about a toy? No. Would you run into their house and steal a toy from them? No. Steal a toy from your brother Jack, right? And sometimes that over time can help. Again, it's not perfect. We're still all sinners living together. It's not perfect, but that does really, really help culture to have some of those shared phrases. Similar to, if you think about Chick-fil-A, they have specific phrases they use, such as my pleasure, right? And everyone associates that with Chick-fil-A. And does everyone who uses that phrase at Chick-fil-A, does everyone feel just so excited to hand them another chicken sandwich? Probably not, but it still shapes the culture of Chick-fil-A quite a bit because you have this common language that you use. Another example of something that we heard from another family and have started implementing at our home, instead of calling chores, we call them jurisdictions, because it's an area of your home that you are the manager of. And particularly for my 4-year-old, I don't think my 2-year-old gets it, which is fine, he's 2, but my 4-year-old will actually say, oh, you said, Mom, it's jurisdictions, not chores, because I use the word chores. And that has been kind of a point where suddenly, instead of me saying, Elliot, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? We talk about, you're in charge of this. Would you have a boss come to you every day and stand by your computer the whole day and say, click here, click here, click here? Does Daddy do that? No, so you need to practice being in charge of your own area. And that has really motivated him to go through all of his morning chores with very little intervention from me. Occasionally, he will need a reminder, like, oh, Elliot, are you managing yourself right now? And he's, I gotta go wipe my sink down. I gotta go get changed for the day and make my bed. And all of that has been really, really helpful just to have that shared language. Again, it's not a moral thing. Every family has different phrases they use, things that they say, but it's helpful to have some of those positive phrases going in your home, and it does help motivate the people in your home because you all have this shared language and culture together that can be really helpful. The fifth tip that I have is communicating the plan. And this is something we would do oftentimes with food service management. If we knew, I worked in a college dining setting for a little bit. If we knew there was going to be a huge holiday dinner, there would be a meeting about that dinner. There would be discussion of expectations of, we think we're going to get a rush at this time. So this is what you should do to prepare. This is what you should expect. And that is just part of your duties as a manager. If you are noticing a rush at the door, even for a normal meal, you would go and tell the cooks, I see a rush. We need to make this many pans of X meal. And even if you saw the problem as a manager, it was a big enough scope that you couldn't solve all of it by yourself. You actually had to communicate it to the people around you. And this is something that I see missed so often in motherhood. It's something I struggle with at times as well, is I have the plan up here in my head, but I haven't communicated it to any of the kids. It's something that I've heard from multiple parenting sources that we have been trying to implement in our home is communicating the plan when we're going places. So if we're in the car on the way to the grocery store, we talk about expectations, and you could do this in a really angry way, or you could do it in a really fun way. So you could say, what's going to happen if you touch something? Oh, you'll get into trouble. But you could also say, what should we do when we go to the grocery store? Do you think we should take all the oranges and throw them onto the floor, and make the kids laugh, right? Should we push people out of the way to get to things first? No. What do you think? Should we take up the whole aisle at the grocery store? No. Oh, what should we do? Hold on to the cart while we're walking. Love it. That's great, honey. Let's see. What should we do if we both want to hold the same box of crackers? Wait till they're done with it, right? You can practice these things through. And sometimes the sin still takes over, but at least they are remembering what the expectations are. When we're on our way to a friend's house, we talk about, what should we say when we walk in the door? Now, and we'll even practice. If they say good morning, what do you say? Good morning. For our family, we've had to practice pretty much any social nicety that exists. It takes a lot of practice. Some kids imitate that more quickly, but that's something we pretty much talk about every time we're going out. What do you say if someone says hi to you? Do you stare at your shoes? No, you look at their eyes, right? And again, it's that consistent communication over time that can help. It doesn't solve everything, but you're at least communicating what you expect, and it does help significantly. We talk about holding hands when we're in the line at the grocery, or when we're getting in and out of the car to go to church. Just things like that are really, really helpful for communicating the plan, so there's shared expectations. And if you think about it from your kids' perspective, oftentimes kids, we can expect an awful lot of a 2-year-old, but oftentimes they've been at home all week and they don't remember church that well till they get there, right? So if you start prepping them, saying, this is what's expected. Why do we sit still during church? Is it just so we can be as bored as possible? No, what would happen if we screamed while the pastor was talking? Oh, everyone would look at us. Right, yeah, do we want that? Is that why we're at church, for everyone to look at us? No, so you can kind of do some of that communicating of the plan with your kids, and it doesn't solve all the problems, it doesn't take away the sin, it doesn't save your child, but it can make the process easier, and it is something that we would do in a management setting, of course, using more adult language and things like that. The sixth thing that I would recommend that often is really, really difficult, particularly for high-achieving moms, is focusing on training your kids. And this is specifically with some of those household tasks that so often as moms, we know we could do them faster. And I fall into this all the time. And it's really, really hard, especially for type A moms who like to check things off a list. But one of the analogies I've used before is, imagine you were at Chick-fil-A and you walk in, they're out of chicken sandwiches, they're out of chicken nuggets, they're out of French fries, okay? Like this is like a rock bottom experience at Chick-fil-A. I've never had this happen before. And it would be pretty tragic if I'm being honest. I would be pretty bummed out. And I imagine you walk up to the counter and you ask one of the employees, where's your manager? And they said to you, oh, she's in the back cleaning the bathrooms. And you say, what? Like this whole place is in shambles and your manager is cleaning the bathroom? But honestly, so often that's what we do as moms, right? We are getting our list done. We have no idea what our kids are doing. We might have told them to do a task, but we aren't checking to see if it's done well. We aren't checking to see if they did it at all. Oh, it's so easy to fall into this as moms. But if we think of ourselves not just as I am an employee who needs to carry out a checklist, if we view it as I am managing this home and I need to be looking at how's the home culture going? How's the training process going? Maybe one child is really motivated with his chores, but like right now I have one child, I do his chores with him the whole time because I need to make sure every single time he knows no matter how much he shirks, the same expectation is there. So I plan during breakfast He has the jobs of wiping the chairs and putting away the silverware. And every day at breakfast, I go and I wipe the table while he's wiping the chair so I can see he's doing it. Sometimes I'll wipe the chair with him, so we're on the same team, but this is the expectation. Then we go, he puts away his spoons and forks and knives, and I am standing right there doing dishes, and I could look over and see, is he getting down early? Did he close the door when he's finished? All the things. And I don't have to do that so much because he's already been through that process, but it probably took 3 months. And then you still have to follow up and check everything. And again, as moms, we get sucked into our to-do list. We lose the vision for what we're doing, and it's really, really easy to just say, throw in the towel and say, I could do it better. I've already tried chores. It didn't work for our family, and I'm just going to do it because I could do it faster. But again, if you have the broader vision of this is the vision of the home, I'm not just in charge of my own list, but I'm in charge of developing these human beings who are the next generation. That can be a really, really helpful mindset for some of us that struggle. And the last thing that has been a really, really helpful thing for me, applying some of the things that I learned in a work setting to the home setting, is to be a self-manager. So my mom oftentimes would talk to us growing up about being self-governed. This is one of those cultural phrases that she kind of hammered into us again and again, and it wasn't in a rude way. It was in a motivational, inspiring way, saying someday my dad, Daddy and I won't be there anymore to make sure you get your work done, and you need to be self-motivated. And one of the things that has looked like for me is realizing even if no one is home telling me how to spend my time, I need to be intrinsically motivated to do that because I know the Lord is watching and I want to work hard unto Him. And so that's something I would encourage you as a mom. It's not perfect, but just realizing that this is a really, really valuable, inspiring thing. We get to leave a legacy. We get to train up the next children. We get to tell them about the gospel. We get to tell them how they can be forgiven. And when Christ changes someone's hearts, there's so much beauty and forgiveness that comes, that changes their relationships, that gives them purpose in life. And if we as moms can remember why we're doing this, why are we home with these kids every day, instead of just getting stuck in the basic tasks, big picture mindset, being self-governed could be a really, really helpful thing in this very, very challenging and very, very wonderful role as a mom and manager of our home. So if you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you share it with a friend. And thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Sugar and Spice Mom Life.